So you want to get started fishing, but don't know anything about rods, reels, line or terminal tackle. You don't know what terminal tackle is, you say. Not to worry. I'm going to break it all down for you. Let's start with the basic fishing rod. There are different kinds of fishing rods on the market, different sizes made of different materials for different needs. But the following terms are common to all fishing rods. By the way, it's called a fishing rod, not a fishing pole. Fishing rods have guides and a way to attach a reel to it. An old-fashioned fishing pole is made of cane, has no guides, and the line is attached to the tip because it has no reel. Here are the basic parts of a rod. Butt cap. This is at the bottom of the handle, sometimes made of rubber, sometimes of cork. This is the end you might press into your stomach if you're fighting a good fish. Handle, referred to as a grip as well. This is where you hold the rod and it can be made of foam or cork. Reel seat. This is where your reel gets attached to the rod. There are different mechanisms available to attach the reel. Some rods will have rings that go over the reel foot. Most rods have some sort of hood mechanism that screws either up or down on the foot of the reel to keep it in place. The keeper, also called a keeper ring. This little ring is a big convenience, as it gives you a place to hook your hook so you won't impale yourself when you're on the move. But this is the thick part of your rod that is closest to the handle. Ferrule, if you have a rod that breaks down into two pieces or more, the ferrule is the part where those sections of the rod fit together. Butt guide. This is the guide closest to the handle end of your rod. It's located on the thickest part of the rod, mentioned before as the butt. That's why they call it the butt guide. Guides. These are the rings you see going all the way down the rod. They guide the line down the length of rod to the tip. The number, spacing, and size of the guides depend on the kind of rod you're using. But, generally speaking, the more guides the better. A higher quality rod will have at least one guide for every foot of its length. Windings. Those windings are how the guides stay attached to the rod. It's basically string that gets wound around the foot of the guide, which is then painted over with an enamel to protect it. Tip. This is the uppermost part of the rod, the thinnest and most flexible, near the tip top. Tip top. This is the guide at the very tip of your fishing rod. It's also the smallest, and probably the most important. This is the guide you are most likely to break off when you aren't watching. It likes to get caught in car doors and the like. Learning new terminology can be a bit of a pain, but learning this is important. Knowing the names and purpose of tackle will help you compare equipment when you're buying your first fishing outfit, and make it easier to get your questions answered when you need help. Before moving on, I want to mention one more term you may hear about when trying to find the right rod. The action. The action of a rod refers to the flexibility of the rod. It describes how much and where a rod bends when it's loaded or bent. There are three main actions. Fast action. This type of rod is generally stiff, and most of the bend happens at the tip part of the rod. Medium or moderate action. This rod bends a little deeper, so it has flexibility in the tip and in the middle of the rod. Slow action. This rod is the most flexible. It bends well into the butt end of the rod. The type of action you need depends on what you plan to do with it, what kind of fish you're targeting, and what kind of technique you plan to use. Alright, I think that's all I've got for you today. Good luck, and go make your pop-up snake proud on that battlefield.